Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Conan the Barbarian. This is by L. Sprague and Lynn Carter. It is from Titan Books, and it is based on a screenplay by John Milius and, get this, Oliver Stone. Originally published in 1982, this is a new edition from Titan Books. Based on the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Conan the Barbarian. I will say I saw the movie in the theater because I was always a huge Conan fan, but I have not seen it in ages, decades and decades. So, right off the bat, I cannot tell you how close this is to what ended up on screen. With novelizations, you tend to have authors working on or working from the script, which goes through changes as it's being filmed, and then there are other changes in the editing room. And so you can end up with a novelization that is different from the final product. Excuse me just a moment. This is my 6th video recording tonight, so I'm getting a little parched. I can't say how closely this follows the movie. I can say these two chaps here, L. Sprague and Lynn Carter, are two of the gentlemen who took unfinished works from Robert E. Howard. Robert E. Howard, of course, being the creator of Conan. When he died, there were unfinished Conan stories. I think there were, some that were partially written. There may have been story ideas. L. Sprague Lynn Carter finished the stories that were started. They've written Conan stuff. They were like the people after Robert E. Howard to write Conan stuff. And so they're the people if you're going to have someone write a novelization of the Conan movie, these are the guys to do it. And there is a nice introduction from one of them, L. Sprague where he talks about Conan and Robert E. Howard and the movie. And so one of the nice things about these two guys being the ones to write this novelization is that it feels like a Conan story. They write it as if they were writing an original Conan story. It's not just someone filling in the blanks from the screenplay. If that makes sense. You could have someone write a Conan story that just feels like a modern fantasy writer, or not even necessarily a fantasy writer, writing a novelization of the movie. But these guys are authentic Conan authors. If this makes any sense, hopefully it does. And they bring that authenticity to this novelization. So if there's anybody, I've been talking for almost 4 minutes. Haven't really talked about what the story is. Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Cimmerian. In the world of the movie, Conan, when he's a young child, his family is killed, and he is thrust into slavery. He spends years as a slave, then he becomes a pit fighter, and then he eventually gains his freedom, wants revenge on the people that killed his family and has slaughtered his village, meets some people along the way, has some adventures. There's bloody violence and sorcery and weirdness, and this is the epitome of the swords and sorcery, swords and sandals subgenre of fantasy. Excuse me. So, as I said, I can't speak to how closely this follows the movie. Essentially, the only thing I remembered about the movie was Conan when he was a slave, pushing a mill wheel, just every day, all day, pushing a mill wheel. That's how he gets all his muscles. And then James Earl Jones turning into a snake. So this is, I gave this, I think I gave it 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. I liked it. It didn't blow me away, because it is, despite the fact that these two authors are Conan authors, the premier Conan authors after Robert E. Howard, they're still following someone else's story. And so there's only so much they can do. It's a fine story, but it is slightly generic. There's only a few things that actually make it a Conan story, and that's essentially the names of things and the snake villain, Thulsa Doom. But now I'm getting into, I don't want to get into the movie at this point yet. So it's, let me put it this way. It's a well-written, well-told, Conan-esque story. If you're looking for the movie, if you're a big fan of the movie, I think you're going to be a fan of the book. If you're a Conan fan, I think you'll be okay with the book. And that's, I'm going to get into this a little bit. In the old Conan stories, Robert E. Howard stuff, further on, I haven't read every single Conan story ever read. I believe I've read all of the Robert E. Howard stuff. Conan doesn't really have an origin. The origin that he's given in the movie, and therefore in the book, is more along the lines of the origin of the character Kull. It was a Robert E. Howard character, but I believe Kull was a slave and a pit fighter before he became a king. Conan doesn't have that backstory. Conan just is. Conan appears in his first story and continues his existence as this barbarian, just traveling the lands, having adventures. I don't think, again, some of the later authors, and I actually just bought 4 Conan novels today at Half Price Books by different authors. I don't know if any of those people have given him any more backstory, but this has essentially Kull's backstory. So if you're a Conan purist, if you were upset that the movie gave him this backstory, this isn't going to make you any happier. But with that aside, it's an entertaining swords and sorcery story, well told. So I did give it 3 out of 5. It's probably 3.5. I do like the cover. I am going to now try to find the movie on streaming somewhere and watch it. I wanted to make sure I did not watch the movie before recording this review. Rewatch the movie. It's been decades. So that I would keep this straight in my head and not start mixing it up with what went on in the movie. So you have Conan, a child, village wiped out, family killed, slavery, pit fighter, becomes free, wants revenge, meets some people, has some adventures, all leads up to the culmination of him, Thulsa Doom, who turns into a snake a couple times. That's the story, essentially. And there's some twists and turns. There's some interesting characters. I pictured, having read tons of the Marvel comics, that's how I picture that classic Conan look, is how I always picture the character. So I was seeing him that way and not as Arnold Schwarzenegger. I will say one more thing. Apparently, Oliver Stone's original script was a post-apocalyptic story. And I really, really want that story. Just people who are regular viewers know I love alternate versions of characters. one of the craziest things DC Comics did, and I loved it, was they took their weird Western character Jonah Hex and threw him into the future. They made the comic was just called Hex. It was a post-apocalyptic world with the Old West character thrown into this post-apocalyptic future. Not even a reimagining of the character. It's literally that character who has been thrust into the future. I loved it. I may be looking at it with rose-colored glasses. It's been a while. I'd love to reread it, see if I still enjoy it. But I would love to have some form of Oliver Stone's original story where Conan the Barbarian is a post-apocalyptic story. So if anybody out there has access to that and can get it published, please do so. But there you go, Conan the Barbarian. 3.5 out of 5 stars from New Edition from Titan Books, L. Sprague DeCamp, and Lynn Carter. There you are. And of course, my question for this video is, are you a Conan fan? Did you watch the movie? Did you enjoy it? Have you ever read the books, the comics, any of the stuff? There was a TV show. There's also Conan the Destroyer is the sequel to this movie, with Arnold Schwarzenegger once again playing the part. It's got Grace Jones in it. Did not do nearly as well as the original. And there's a remake with, I believe it's Jason Momoa playing Conan. I have not seen it, so I'm not sure. If you've seen it, is it worth my time? Should I watch it? What do you think of Conan? Have you only seen the movie and never read the books? If you only read the books and refused to watch the movies, let's talk Conan in the comments down below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments down below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter, as of this recording, is at Ronin5757. On Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am at EL Smith. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.